everybody, and welcome back to the Halo Chronicle. Today's video is going to be part 7 in my Fall of the Forerunner series. In the last video, we discussed the revival of the Didact on the human homeworld of Erde Tyrene, aka Earth. The Didact would recruit a young Forerunner named Bornstellar and his 2 human companions that were imprinted by the Librarian, named Chalkus and Riser. Together they would travel to different points throughout the universe to gauge the progress the Forerunners made in the Didact's exile. They found that Jerome Hakor was essentially destroyed by a Halo test firing, and that the Primordial had possibly escaped from its captivity. In an act of desperation, the Didact imprinted a version of his consciousness onto Bornstellar. This would ensure that he could protect the Ecumen even if he was captured by the Master Builder's forces. His intuition was correct. During a visit to the Sanchayim quarantine zone, the Master Builder's forces laid an excellent trap. They captured the Didact and all of his companions. Following a brutal interrogation, the Master Builder would fire one of the Halo installations within the Sanchayim quarantine zone. This would wipe out all traces of the Sanchayim. Bornstellar was then ransomed back to his family, where his human companions were not afforded such a luxury. The humans were sent to a Halo for study. It was then rumored that the Didact was executed for defying the Master Builder. Now that we are all caught up on last week's video, let's jump into today's material. Returning to his family brought Bornstellar no peace. After witnessing the plight of the Sanchayim and the awful power that the Master Builder wielded, he knew that this conflict was just the start of a greater conflict. Bornstellar would then discover, in his absence, his father, Wise Hands to Forge, had become a high-ranking Builder official. He discovers that his father has worked with and assisted the Master Builder. This was the only reason that Bornstellar was allowed to return from the Sanchayim quarantine zone. Bornstellar would remain at his family's estate for the better part of a year. There he would meditate on occasion, hoping to open his imprint and absorb some of the Didact's knowledge and memories. He hoped by absorbing this knowledge he would better understand the situation that all Forerunners faced. His efforts to unlock the Didact's imprint with sheer willpower would ultimately fail. The imprint would remain locked. Towards the end of his stay at his family's estate, Bornstellar would overhear his father talking to a Forerunner counselor. This counselor would inform Wise Hands of the Master Builder's arrest. He would also learn that one of the 12 Halo installations had gone missing. This information would cause a stir within Bornstellar, and some of the Didact's imprint would begin to open. Bornstellar would be infused with more of the Didact's knowledge and memories. He would see the Didact's memories in regards to Jerome Hakor, the Flood, and even the political battle with the Master Builder. This imprint would also begin to speak to Bornstellar subconsciously and guide him. With this new knowledge, Bornstellar would confront his father. Bornstellar wanted to know how his father rose so quickly through the Builder ranks in his absence. He needed to know the extent of his father's involvement with the Master Builder's schemes. Wise Hands admitted that his Builder clan was responsible for designing and creating the Halo Array. In fact, without his father's breakthroughs, the Master Builder would not have been as successful in the creation of the Halo Array. Wise Hands would state that he knew nothing of the Master Builder's unauthorized use of the Halo Array. He was upset that Faber betrayed the trust of his people and used the array in such a shameful way. Due to the amount of involvement Wise Hands had in creating the Halo Array, he too may be subject to arrest and interdiction. After this emotional confrontation, Wise Hands informs Bornstellar that he has been summoned to the Forerunner capital of Maythrillion to stand as a witness at the Master Builder's trial. It is unclear who summoned him. Bornstellar would also be informed that all charges against the Didact had been dismissed. The Warrior Servant Corps of Forerunners had also been reinstated. Wise Hands charges Bornstellar with restoring his family's honor and respect. A capital ship then appears in the system shortly after. Bornstellar is taken to the Forerunner capital world, Maythrillion. Upon his arrival in the capital, Bornstellar would see a horrific sight. 11 Halo installations were brought into the capital system in a parking orbit. This went against all safety measures put into place by the Master Builder. This confirmed the report Bornstellar overheard about the missing 12th Halo Array. The imprint inside of Bornstellar warned him that something truly terrible may be about to happen. Bornstellar would wait and prepare in the capital for 1 week prior to the trial. In that time, the Didact's imprint would reveal more information about the events that transpired prior to the Didact's exile. This would help Bornstellar prepare mentally and physically for the long challenges ahead. The trial of the Master Builder would begin, but it would not last long. During the opening ceremonies of the trial, a Forerunner Ancilla appeared and seized control of the capital system. All Forerunner defenses were disabled, and the Forerunners would be locked in their armor, unable to move or defend themselves. The imprint inside of Bornstellar would further blossom, allowing the Didact's wisdom to take control of Bornstellar's body. The Didact's wisdom would identify this Ancilla as Mendicant Bias. Mendicant Bias was created in a joint project involving both the Didact and the Master Builder towards the end of the Forerunner Human War. It would be a part of the Contender class of artificial intelligences. This type of Ancilla would be the first of its kind. This Ancilla would be the most intelligent and highly sophisticated ever created by the Forerunners. Its primary purpose would be to coordinate Forerunner defenses. It would be capable of assuming control of thousands of ships and installations at a time. In fact, a piece of Mendicant Bias's personality matrix would be stored on each Halo installation. This would give it full control of the Halo Ray in case of a crisis. Mendicant's last assignment was to interrogate the primordial which was discovered in the ruins of Jerome Hakor. The Didact's wisdom would begin a conversation with Mendicant Bias. The Ancilla would reveal that it had a new master and no longer served the Forerunners. It would reveal that the Forerunners were dangerous to its new master. During this conversation, the 12th and final Halo array would appear in the capital system. To free the Forerunners, the Didact's wisdom would utter a verbal failsafe code that was put into place during Mendicant's creation. This code would temporarily disable Mendicant Bias and free the Forerunners. The Forerunners in the capital would scramble to raise a defense as Mendicant Bias would try to take control of the Halos for a coordinated strike. Due to the sheer number of processes Mendicant was controlling at the time, it would only be able to assume control of 5 Halos. The rest of the Halos broke away from the pack and attempted to flee using a slipspace portal. Bornstellar would also scramble to find an escape from the capital. He and a small group of Forerunner counselors would board a nearby Falco-class ship. The Didact's wisdom would take control of Bornstellar's body once again. Using the Didact's piloting and navigational skills, Bornstellar would attempt to guide the spacecraft out of the system. Bornstellar would target the very same portal the Forerunner-controlled Halos were attempting to use to escape. Due to the immense strain of Halo passage, the portal began to break down. To make things worse, many Forerunner Fortress-class ships from neighboring systems were attempting to use this same portal to enter and defend the capital. The immense strain caused the portal to begin to collapse. As a result, all but one of the Halos attempting to use the portal were ripped apart piece by piece, but just before the portal's collapse, Bornstellar and his small crew managed to secure passage. In the mass confusion and panic, another prominent Forerunner would make his escape. Accompanied by Builder security, the Master Builder would secure a spacecraft and make his escape. His escape was assisted by many Forerunner counselors that were either bribed or corrupted in some way. Battle in the capital would continue to rage. All but one of the rogue Halos were destroyed in the ensuing conflict. The final rogue Halo, piloted by Mendicant Bias and its new master, managed to gather enough vacuum energy to fire. It would deliver a devastating blast of Halo radiation throughout the heart of the Forerunner capital system. All Forerunners left in the system were killed. This attack would completely cripple the Forerunner governing body. The Ancilla, once in charge of all Forerunner defenses, led the most devastating surprise attack against the Forerunners in their history. Following this attack, Mendicant Bias and its rogue Halo would escape with a random slipspace jump. Bornstellar and his crew would awaken in a system on the galaxy's edge. Their ship was badly damaged and they were left stranded in space. After what felt like many days, Bornstellar and his crew were rescued by a group of lifeworkers. It was then discovered that the slipspace portal took them to the Greater Ark. Bornstellar and his crew would spend the next couple of days recovering from their brutal ordeal. Once fully recovered and brought back to full alertness, Bornstellar was informed that a very special Forerunner had requested an audience with him. The librarian herself was present on the Greater Ark. Upon seeing her for the first time, Bornsteller's imprint fully opens. He is given full access to the Didact's knowledge, memories, and patterns. The librarian would state that she believes that the Didact was executed by the Master Builder on one of the Sanchayum quarantine worlds. She then affirms that all that she has left of her husband is within Bornsteller. The imprinted consciousness of the Didact then makes a pact with Bornsteller. The Didact's imprint will assume full control of Bornsteller's body until the current crisis is resolved. Bornsteller would henceforth be known as the ISO Didact. The original Didact would assume the title of Didact should he ever be recovered. With all of the Didact's knowledge and memories now available to him, the ISO Didact found one very important memory kept coming to the surface in his mind. The ISO Didact relived this memory like he was actually there. The Didact tapped into a human-controlled device, and the stasis capsule became transparent. He could see a monstrous creature with 2 sets of arms, a sea scorpion-like tail, and a giant flat head within this capsule. After tapping into the device again, the Didact found that he could communicate with the creature housed within. The human warriors called this creature the Primordial. During a very brief conversation, this Primordial would reveal that it was the last precursor. It would reveal that millions of years ago, the Forerunners rose up and viciously hunted down their creators, the Precursors. It would end this conversation with a threat. The Primordial would say that the Precursors' answer to the Forerunners' challenge was finally at hand. With this new knowledge, the ISO Didact's purpose became clear. He must hunt down this rogue Halo. He must stop mendicant bias from further corruption. He must find and destroy this captive, this timeless one, this Primordial. That is going to do it for today's video. I hope you guys are still enjoying this story as things have really started to heat up. The Forerunner Flood War has begun and the battle lines have been drawn. Next time we will discuss the dire condition of the rogue Halo, as well as the ISO Didact's attempt to recapture this installation. Part 8 will be released next week. Until then, thanks for watching, and I hope to see you guys next time.